When cops switched from revolvers to semi-automatics, 38 Special versus 40 Smith & Wesson. I've been doing a series like this to kind of dive into, you know, what would it be like for ballistic performance if police had never switched over to semi-automatics. And right around 1990 is when a lot of police departments switched directly from 38 Special over to 40 Smith & Wesson. You know, I know there was some departments that switched before that. They switched over to 9mm and whatnot, but right around 1990 is when the 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge was developed, and that's when the FBI switched to that. So just like any other time or any other changes, pretty much every police department followed what the FBI did. They went from revolvers over to semi-automatics, and they switched directly on to the 40 Smith & Wesson. So there is usually a pretty big difference in power, but what I want to do is see from service-sized guns, you know, what the real difference is with various different ammunition, and if, you know, bullet technology, if it was the same back then as it is now, would there really be a drastic difference? So our 4-inch Smith & Wesson 686 to test our 38 Special, our 5-inch M&P 2.0 to test our 40 Smith & Wesson. And today what I have is the Corbon. Our 38 Special, it's interesting, it's a 125 grain jacket, a hollow point rated at 1,050 feet per second. It is a standard pressure, and what I find interesting about that is that Corbon also offers a 125 plus P rated at 100 feet per second slower. So I do find that kind of interesting. But 125 grain at 1,050 feet per second is our rating, and our 40 Smith & Wesson's a 165 grain rated at 1,150 feet per second, so a lot more power as far as its rating goes. Our 38 is definitely using a Hornady XTP bullet. That's definitely not an XTP in our 40. I don't know what that is, but anyways, we're going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time. Then I'm going to do my 10% clear ballistic test, and first up, I'm just going to go into plain clear ballistics to see what the best potential is of these cartridges, see what we get for penetration and expansion. And after that, I'm going to do more of a real world simulation where I put on 4 layers of denim on the front of this clear ballistics here. After 3 inches of clear ballistics to represent our pectoral muscle, put in a 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard to represent ribs or sternum, and see how the bullets compare that way. That'll be more of our real world simulation. And then I'm going to shoot at my steel silhouette to see what kind of practical accuracy I get, you know, because 40 has a little bit more recoil than 38 Special. So I just want to see what kind of practical accuracy I can get as well. So let's get started with this test. All right, first up we have our 38 Special 125 grain rated at 1,050 feet per second. I'm about 5 yards from the target, 4 yards from the chronograph. Let's see how close we get to 1,050 feet per second and my 4-inch barrel here. $11.62, wow. $11.61. $11.50. $11.49. $11.36. Relatively consistent, very high powered cartridge for a 38 Special, so that's looking good. Now our Corbon here, our 40 is a 165 grain, rated at 1,150 feet per second. Let's see what we actually get. $11.50, $11.31, $11.31, $11.50, $11.39. So we're averaging right about 10 feet per second below our rating, so not too bad overall. I am impressed by the 38. Now the 40 should have been at least a little bit higher because I am using a 5-inch barrel, but nonetheless both are close enough. I'm happy with those velocities. Let's hit our ballistics gel block with these and see what we get. All right, plain clear ballistics. This will be our best potential, no denim or anything like that in the way. Let's see how 38 Special does. All right, let's hit it with our 40 Smith & Wesson. See how that compares. All right, interesting here. I typically don't get this in M&P pistols, but malfunction on that. Let's go take a look. All right, so interesting. What I'm seeing here with our 38 looks very ideal in this particular testing. This is a straight line here. We went right to 14.5 inches of penetration. We have, looks like controlled expansion. Now with our 40, that is a different bullet style. I don't know what that is, but it pretty much exploded. And we only got penetration of about 10.5 inches. We got massive expansion. We got busted off petals, but we definitely got under penetration. So let's put it on our denim and our MDF and see how it compares that way. All right, 38 special, 4 layers of denim and a 1/4 inch MDF. Let's see how this does. Try our 40 now. All right, 40 Smith & Wesson. And again, this pistol is very reliable, but this ammo just keeps jamming on the feed ramp. So take a look. All right, so looking at our MDF here, well, we can tell some things right away. We can see right here with our 38 special, the expansion is pretty controlled. It's just starting to barely expand. But with our 40, it's massively expanded in this first 3-inch piece here. Huge difference there. So what we got with our 38 special, I would actually call this pretty ideal. We didn't get very much expansion, but we penetrated to about 20.5 inches. And the more I do this testing, the more I know how this stuff compares to like organic gel. You definitely want to get stuff like this with that type of penetration. With our 40 Smith & Wesson, we got a penetration of about 13.5, and that's fine. But honestly, in the real world, you know, getting a penetration up right around here, right around the end of this first block, the start of the second block, is a little bit more ideal. Because if we were talking organic ballistics gel, which does simulate flesh a little bit better, you know, this 20.5 would probably be something like 18. This would probably be something like 11. I don't know the exact comparison, but definitely a difference there. So I'm gonna say in the real world, they both did okay. Definitely more damage with our 40, but you know, our 38 had a little more adequate penetration, which is interesting. So let me shoot my steel silhouette and see how these compare. All right, 25 yards from the target. Being that these are duty-sized guns, you know, there's no reason why I shouldn't be shooting from this distance. We know it can hit at 7 yards and all that. So just want to see what kind of practical accuracy I can get with these. So 38 special. All right, just popping off. They looked pretty good to me. Now with this 40, I was kind of looking at it. It is kind of a weird shaped bullet. You know, the lead and the copper kind of just cut right off in one place. So it's not really any surprise why that's jamming up on the feed ramp. But let's see what I can get for accuracy at 25 yards. I don't know where that one went where I missed, but let me back it up a little bit and see if I can keep hitting. All right, 38 special, 75 yards from the target. Why not? These are pretty powerful 38s, so see what I can get here. I pulled that one. I felt myself kind of jerk that trigger a little bit today. Still pretty early in the day. Let me see how the 40 compares. Again. All right, so that ammo I just wasn't very accurate with today. It's probably just me. I didn't really sleep last night. But what I'm seeing overall is that the 40 Smith & Wesson, this particular round, is definitely not something I want to use. That bullet design this is a very reliable pistol. In fact, I've had this pistol for 2 years. I believe the amount of malfunctions I've had in it from shooting nothing but jacketed hollow point ammunition in 2 years was 2 2 malfunctions. And I have the MMP 9 version of this, and in 2 years of shooting nothing but jack at a hollow point, I've had 0 malfunctions. So to come out with, and I'm talking, I've shot plus P's and stuff that has massive recoil in this. So to come out here and see, like, I don't know, at least like what is it, like 4 malfunctions or something like that, and the same ammo, yeah, that's pointing towards the ammo and the ammo design. So just not something I'd want to carry. They'd be better off if they used the XTP, because that has a more narrow nose. So I'm just gonna say, you know, this is not good, just based on the reliability. Because this is a very reliable pistol. If it's not reliable in this pistol, it's probably going to be terribly reliable, very terribly unreliable in any other pistol. A 38 Special here, very good round. You know, it surprised me to be so fast and so powerful. Very powerful 38 Special load. It kind of crosses the bridge between typical 38 Special and 357 mag. It's kind of smack dab right in the middle of that. And that's a load that I actually look for. I look for stuff like that. I find loads like that to be very, very perfect, because we're bridging the gap in energy, but our recoil is typically a little bit closer to 38 Special. So very efficient cartridge in that regard. So I'm going to say overall, the 38 seems great. The 40 Smith & Wesson here, just underpenetrated and jammed up. So yes on the 38, no on the 40. So that's what you get today. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.